Howdy, it is Cindy with Brett and Cindy's Tea and Living. One of the nights where I am going to discuss this lovely medical condition they like to call conversion disorder or dysfunctional neurologic symptom disorder or something to that effect. It's got a lot of names apparently too. But it basically comes back to your head messes up, or there is a failure to communicate from the brain to the body, I guess. I think that's about to decide. I get tickled. When I first started having them, we didn't really have a name for them. My daughter says, "Mama, are you having an Ugga Ugga?" So that's what I call them most of the time. It's an Ugga Ugga event. Today's been a fairly decent day. I've shaken a little. Been a little nerve thinking is challenging. But Brett was reading some of the comments to me, and I thought, well, he said, it's about time you need to do another video. I'm like, yeah, but I'm kind of don't want to just keep going over the same stuff. And we had several questions, so I thought, got me thinking I might not have give much detail about some of my medical history. Being dizzy-headed is nothing new to me. I have had heart surgery, 2 of them actually. So I guess heart surgeries were first, so I'll go with it first. I've had 2 of them. One of them I had when I was 12, and the second one I was in my 30s. I was born with what was called a hole in my heart, which diagnosed ASD, arterial septal defect, I think is what it's called. I know it's an ASD. I'm just not entirely sure that's what the letters stand for. I had both of them repaired. They didn't know if the second one was there since birth or if it developed over time. That was not completely figured out. But had those surgeries, haven't really had complications, so to speak. From my junior year, I used to have a lot of chest pains, and my cardiologist came back to something he read in a medical journal that they are finding in people who have had heart surgeries that sometimes the chest, for no reason, would just kind of have some kind of infection and it would cause chest pains. That went on for a couple of years and basically went away. After my second heart surgery, my heart started beating irregularly, or kind of in a wild rhythm. Went back to my doctor, and he did a bunch of tests, and he said that no, it was just the way the heart was sewed up after the second surgery. Gave me medicine for it, but it made it worse. So he said as long as it didn't get too bad out of rhythm or anything, then it'd be okay. And I'm like, no problem with that. I can understand. The fluttering gets worse if I get under a lot of stress. Or some foods can do it. Just things I know to avoid. Yeah, it's like diet drinks. I told that to a friend of mine whose husband has, one of my colleagues whose husbands have been having some issues, and I told her, I said, hey, I can't drink a diet drink. Diet drinks will make my heart flutter faster than anything. And I said, and it's because of the way it was sewed up. And they brought it up, and he's cut back. He drank a lot of diet drinks, and he noticed it helped that he didn't drink any more diet drinks. I said, don't ask me what that. I guess there's whatever it is that they get put in there to make it sweet or what, but it messes with it. So I've learned how to live with that. I've learned over the years. Like I said, I've been since I was 17, and I'm 46, so basically nearly 30 years dealing with that issue on and off. Not so much the fluttering heart, but the stress induced and stuff like that. When I get under too much pressure, making my chest hurt. That and I can easily pull a chest muscle. I've done that numerous times. And there again, being a cardiac patient, the first thing they do is throw you on a machine. Yeah, not fun. So I guess about the last 10 to 15 years, I've really had to learn to live with a flutter. It mostly came on after my second heart surgery. So I know what I can avoid and what I can do and what I can't do. So I've learned that. Learned to live with it. Then woke up one morning. Well, I've had shoulder surgery, but that's because of factory work. I encourage my children not to work in a factory. I love them. I love people who can work in a factory. But I encourage my children not to because I destroyed my shoulder doing that. But that, you know, as parents, we want better for our kids than ourselves. Although if we didn't have our factory workers, we wouldn't have half the stuff we've got. So, somebody's got to do it, right? But so I went to, and then woke up one morning, dizzy-headed, went through a series of tests, and the doctor told me I had a condition called vestibular balance disorder. Okay. Fix it. Well, actually, I think my first words were, so when's the surgery? Because by that point, I was used surgery here and a surgery there. I had several at that point in my life. And he said, there's no surgery that fixes this. And I'm just like, there got to be something that fixes it. And basically come back, he explained that my right inner ear is 40% weaker than my left inner ear. So that makes your balance go. And he goes, basically your head thinks it's doing this all the time. I'm like, yeah, and it makes you walk into walls. So we got to do something about this. And he said, well, he said you got to go to rehab. I'm like, okay, vestibular rehab. I can handle that. Go in, talking to the lady. She says, you work with some computers, don't you? I said, yeah. This was what, about 10 years ago, I guess? 10 or 11, give or take. I said, yeah, I work with computers, some. And she said, what happens to a computer when it doesn't do exactly what you want it to do? I said, you hit it. No, I'm joking. You reboot it. And she said, we're going to reboot your brain. Reboot my brain. Okay. Let's go for it. Took what, basically about 3 months to, yeah, I think it was about 3 months. Brett's over here in the background shaking his head, and eating peanuts, so I'm good. Or trail mix one. But, it was about 3 months going back and forth to Nashville before I could walk without a cane and without assistance. Because I couldn't walk without walking, well, I really looked like someone who had one too many. And I struggled with that. Just got to learn to live with it. Flashing lights. My feet. I used to be able to go wherever I wanted to, do whatever I wanted to. Now I've got to be more cautious where I step. Walking on wet floors and me do not get along very well. Unbalanced grounds I don't do well with. I tell my colleagues and stuff, if you're wearing, especially a black and white striped shirt, but if you're wearing stripes or bright checkers and stuff, I said, I don't want to be rude, and you may think I'm not listening to you, but I can't stand to look at you because the pattern will make me dizzy-headed. And so my colleagues have really gotten used to this over the years, and she kind of, I have one friend that, one of my colleagues, she's wears some bright shirts sometimes, so when I'm in a room and I'm just doing this, she goes, oh, sorry, give me a minute, and she'll throw a jacket on. She goes, now, can you talk to me? So it gets kind of comical. I got tickled. One of the first years, one of these teachers had taken over. I was going to be working with her. She had found this zebra striped pattern she really liked. And her mom had come down and helped her decorate her room, and she had bulletin boards, and one was like camo, I think, and then, no, one was maybe pink and white stripes, and one was like zebra striped or something like that. I mean, the patterns was going to really mess with my head. So the principal goes in the first day, and she's talking to her, and she looks at her, and she goes, "What do you think of my new boards?" And she went, "Oh no, Miss Cindy is not going to be able to sit in here." And she's like, "What do you mean?" She said, "The aide that comes in here and helps you she can't do these patterns. She can't look at this wall." And the teacher was like, "Oh no." And I come in like right after that, and she's like, "I didn't know." And I'm like, "You're okay. I just won't look up there. I'll just turn my back to the wall. That's not a big deal." And so she sent the students that she wanted me to work with towards the back, kind of in the back of the room, where I could turn my back to what she was doing and work with them, so I didn't have to see the patterns on the wall. But it's something, again, you gotta learn to live with. For migraines, I've had migraines since teenager. They come, they go. Know how to deal with them. I know what triggers them. I know what sets them off, and I know what to do to avoid them. For the most part. Some things I can't control, some things I can. Been to a migraine specialist. She done wonders, gave me medicine for the migraines and stuff, but they've been pretty much under control lately. Hadn't really had any major headaches or anything. That's why me and Brett thought this whole conversion disorder thing was maybe migraine related, because the way I handled it and the way it came on kind of reminded me of the migraines. So I went to a neurologist who specialized in migraines, and she's like, "We got the migraines under control. I don't understand why the rest of this doesn't." And she's the one who referred me to the psychiatrist who diagnosed me. Which funny is now both of them have been laid off from the HMO that owns the company they work for. It's a chain, kind of collaboration of clinics and stuff. It's weird. I looked at Brett and I said, "Go figure, the two people who has helped me the most have gotten released from their jobs." Yeah, they don't ask us patients about what doctor does the best on working, I can tell you that. Because those two are the two of them I would have kept on staff. The clinic I was going to from a neurologist completely did away with the neurology section of that department. So I got to completely find a new neurologist. But Brett and I have been talking, and I told him, I said, "I want to find a neurologist that understands conversion disorder." I don't know where the one I was seeing was, but like I said, she was a migraine specialist. She doesn't do anything but migraines, so I want to try to find one, and the next neurologist be somebody who understands conversion disorder. Because I really would like to understand it more. Fibromyalgia. Memory part of it hates me more than the pain side of it some, but it kind of, another one of those things I just learned to live with and learn to avoid certain things with. So for the last, 15, 20 years, I've had several different diagnoses of things you just got to learn to live with, Miss Swafford. Back then it was, we've been married for 26 years. It'll be 27 in January. And the entire time we have been together, I've had one issue after another. Bless his heart, Brett has put through a lot of it. So when it comes to making decisions about my health, I no longer even think about it. I just turn to him and say, "Well, what do you think, baby?" Because so far he's been the best of my doctors. He understands my head and myself better than anything. We're both still trying to figure out this conversion disorder thing. We're both trying to figure out what triggers it. Best way, that's what the lady said, figure out what triggers. So far we haven't figured it out. We're still working. The flashing lights.
Projector screen.
Projectors, yeah. I do not do projectors very well. our church uses a projector to put the words to the songs on the wall. And I can do okay with them as long as the background is a still kind of background. I can have some motions, but just not a lot. In the last, two, maybe 3 years? I know it's been in the last 2 years. The projectors have really got to where I cannot stand to even look at them, even with still pictures. The words and stuff just makes my head spin. Going to church. Going to church with a room full of people, the words projected on the wall. We have a praise and worship team that plays music. The music, all of that combo, by the time church is over with, I am going down. Sundays are my hardest hit days. And I usually don't plan to do anything on a Sunday because of that. It does not take much to take me down. And it's not just church. I mean, at school, we do projectors for class stuff. Well, we don't this year because they got us smart boards, but we had projectors. Like, my husband and I do graduation a lot for them. And by the end of graduation, I was going down. We have a little glee club that sings. By the time glee club was done, I was going down. And I always thought it was the pressure I was under. But I'm starting to narrow down more now that it was the noise in the group. This year, we've cut out a lot of extra activities and things. But even at on Halloween, we always do a costume parade. And I usually do the music for it. And I was dreading it this year. Well, this year we did it differently. They went outside and paraded around the parking lot because it was a nice day, actually. And just hearing the kids in the hallways, because all our entire school was out in the hall, and they paraded out one door and came in another door, and that way they went up through all the halls, and all the kids got to see all the different costumes and stuff. Yeah, we still do all that. It's fun. It's like a family atmosphere in our school. I love it. I had to put my headphones on because my office, where my desk is, and I'm in the teacher's lounge, and all the kids sitting outside in the hall were going, oh, I like that one. I know who he is. I know who's in that one. You know, they're just all fun, you know, they loved it. It was one of the semi-normal things we got to do with them this year. And I had to put my headphones on and put my relaxation music in because it literally spiraled me out of control. By the time I went home, I just laid down. My head was gone. My ability to move, walk, function, I was done. I was done. And so I know that's trigger. But how do you avoid noise? And how do you avoid people? A friend of mine asked her to help her do some stuff yesterday for Thanksgiving. One of our local churches does a community Thanksgiving, and they were doing food. And I said, I can't do crowd. She said, well, you can do the drive-through. I said, I can't do the chaos that's in the kitchen. And there's only 5 or 6 of you in the kitchen. She's like, oh, wow. I had my children come to Thanksgiving dinner, and it was wonderful. But by the time it was over with, I was just so down. I was just done. And these are the 2 I gave birth to and my son-in-law. So I know there's things that's triggering it. I didn't have to do as much cooking as I normally do on Thanksgiving. But even with all of Brett's help, and my kids just being them, I still go down. I still got shaky. I still got to the point where my leg didn't want to function right. I didn't lose my speech, but I just had trouble focusing. And I just laid down after they left and did nothing the rest of the evening. What is the triggers? I've yet to figure out. How to live with it, I'm learning. What's next? I guess finding a neurologist that understands this stuff. Because I told Brett I'm at the point I don't care where I have to drive to find them. If I can find somebody who can explain it to me and tell me how. How do I learn to live with it? I know this was long and I'm sorry, but I hope it answers some of the questions that we've gotten and some of the comments, and I do appreciate every comment. I appreciate all the advice and all the prayers. They're greatly appreciated. Have a great evening. God bless.